On this week's episode, Austin and Tim travel back in time to October 25th, 1985 to watch 7 movies: Martin Scorsese's After Hours, American Ninja, Stephen King's Silver Bullet, a little-known scene World War II spy thriller Cold Name Emerald, Academy Award nominee Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Meryl Streep in Plenty, and ending the night with the midnight screening of the cult horror film Motel Hell. Ninjas, werewolves, Nazi spies, prison sex, cannibalism. It's all coming up next here on Film Geek Time Machine. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Geek Time Machine. We're back.
Oh, season 2, Austin.
Season 2, we're doing it.
And my favorite part is how we literally waited until all the episodes of season 1 were recorded before we released a single thing.
That's true.
That's how podcasts should be done.
We did. So, as of now that we're recording, 2 episodes have been aired, and I'm getting good positive responses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I haven't. Some friends of mine have said good things.
Yeah.
There's at least one iTunes review.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone that's been listening to it.
It might have been one of us that reviewed it. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But no, I want to thank everyone that's been listening so far and continue to do so. Right now, it's available pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. So it's on Spotify and whatever, and all Apple Podcasts, and so that's been going good. So, and it's funny because we have analytics. I can show you that later, but we have analytics. We're gonna see where people. For some reason, 17 downloads in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So thank you, Council Bluffs, Iowa.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know.
Probably the entire population of Council Bluffs, Iowa.
I don't know. So a little shout out to that. I don't know. That was interesting. I'm Austin Kennedy. I'm your host.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Austin Kennedy.
Oh, I'm Tim Kaiser. Nice to meet
you. Nice
to
meet you. All right. And what is Film Geek Time Machine? Well, if you haven't listened to any of the first season, what we do is this is a podcast where I have a time machine, and Tim, he's my friend. That's why he's my friend. Because I have a time machine.
No, yes, that's the only reason I'm your friend.
And
I mean, I didn't know you had a time machine 10 years ago and became friends, but boy, I lucked into it.
So now what we do is that we just pick random dates most of the time, and we pick we go back in time to that date, and then we go to the newspaper and we look at all the dates and we map it out. We're like how we're going to see the movies, and we have like a 5 to 7 movie marathon usually.
Some of the episodes in this, looking at the newspaper was literally more enjoyable than watching the movies.
Which one in the
last... First is the very first episode.
The first, yeah, for sure.
That is some real bad
That was
movies.
My birthday, yes. Well, for this very first season, we are going to go back to October 25th, 1985, which that's the day that Back to the Future takes place.
That's the day...
Marty goes back in time. He doesn't go back in time, too.
That's the second day.
Yeah.
Because most of the time in the 85 takes place the day before, and then it's 1:30 in the morning.
Yes.
When he meets
Marty
Doc
Brown.
Brown.
Correct.
So weirdly, we did not wake up at 1:30 in the morning because there weren't any movies showing.
No, there wasn't. No. So that's the day we went back in time too, because I thought it was cool. My brother gave me the idea for that, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, we're stupid.
I know. Why didn't we think of that for the first
real
season?
Dumb. Okay?
I know. First season, that should have been our first episode.
Luckily,
what are we doing?
The first season had the first 2 episodes were real dates that meant something, and the first 2 in this are important dates in youthful people.
That's right.
People of our age.
That's right. Youthful people. Also, before we go on to the episode, I do want to talk about, when I was listening back to our podcast, we didn't really talk too much about ourselves, so I just want to talk about my taste of films and stuff like that. So some of my favorite movies of all time, because I love movies of all times. My least favorite genre is probably horror, which is why we didn't do a lot of horror.
We did a couple.
Time. We did a couple, but not too many.
But no, we did at least one here.
We did 2.
There are 2.
Yeah. So, anyways, but my favorite genres, I like musicals and I like westerns a lot. And you like musicals.
I love musicals.
My favorite movie of all time is, I have like 3 or 4 of them, but Singing in the Rain, Taxi Driver, and Jaws.
Singing in the Rain is good overlap.
And then Pulp Fiction.
too. Singing in the Rain is
Singing
one
in
of
the
your
Rain
favorite.
is one of mine.
Yeah.
But as you already know,
Yeah.
I consider my number one to be Little Shop of Horrors,
Yeah.
the musical, but only with the director's cut ending, because the other one is a fucking coward, okay?
I still like the original just
I mean,
fine.
it's okay, because the rest of the movie's good. It's great, fantastic. And then...
Well, did you like it before?
I liked it before, but it was not like my best movie ever.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, where the ending is literally... Because here's the problem with the name Little Shop of Horror in the original version, or the released version.
Yeah.
There's no fucking horror in that movie.
No. There is at the end of the director's
It's a
cut.
comedy.
Yeah.
Okay? At the end of the director's cut, we're all dead. Okay? We all died in the 50s. Okay?
Did you ever see the original movie, like from 1960?
I have not, and if
I
we
saw it when I
travel
was a
to the
kid.
right time,
Yeah.
we might end up seeing that.
I would definitely.
It
It's Roger Corman.
has Jack Nicholson in it.
Yeah, he's awesome in it, actually. Then one other thing, too, is that I've had people ask about, and I know you've asked about it, too, why are we rating 4 stars? That's, 4 stars.
Have people said that?
Yeah. So people have asked. So
that's the 80s.
So,
okay?
So when I was growing up, I was watching Siskel and Ebert and reading Leonard Maltin's book, and the standard was 4 stars, 4 out of 4 stars. That was kind of the thing. So as a film critic, because I've worked as a film critic for like the Minnesota Film Board and other things, I've always rated out of 4 stars. I'm now kind of like, a lot of people are like, if you look at Letterboxd, it's out of 5 stars, or sometimes it's out of 10
It's
stars.
kind of, in some ways, it's also like a weird combination of a binary thumbs up, thumbs down, and then a percentage of the thumbs up, thumb down thing on
Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, what it is.
It's literally just rated on Rotten Tomatoes whether or not they liked it or not.
Yeah. And well, it's funny because on Rotten Tomatoes, a movie could have 100%, but none of them might be 4 stars. It could be all 3 stars.
Like, I like this movie, but if you don't see it, that's fine.
Yeah. Right. And so, that's why it's kind of weird.
There's a lot of movies like that have 100%, unless there's like
probably not.
reviews. Okay.
But anyways, I just wanted to get into that too. But welcome to season 2, October 25th, 1985. So before we do that, I like to look at what the music was like back then. So
I guess let's talk about a thing here.
Yeah.
I literally sent only one episode to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who lives in Chicago.
Yeah.
But it was like episode 3, and she goes, you should talk more about the time. And I'm like, I picked like the one episode accidentally where we didn't really talk about the time.
Right, we started doing that like halfway through the season.
And I'm like,
more or less.
Like if you listen to it later on, we talk about all the stuff we even talk about TV shows.
We do, and we will this time too. Yeah. So the number 1 of this day, of this week, was Saving All My Love for You by Whitney Houston. Which Part-Time Lover number 2, Stevie Wonder. That song's fucking awesome.
Oh God, it's so fun.
Take On Me, amazing. Miami Vice.
I just had no recollection of that getting to number 4.
It was a big thing, and one of my favorite songs of all time is Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears. And I was telling Tim earlier, that's the first album I ever bought on cassette. I was 9 years old, and that was a big deal. I saved up for it.
Because you're always crying and always afraid.
Yes. Oh Sheila, Ready for the World.
You can't rip on Oh Sheila.
I don't.
This is the problem with this period is one of the reasons you have to like Back to the Future if you're me is I was 16 when it came out. Okay, so it's like I'm the most target audience for that movie that has ever existed.
And I loved Back to the Future when it came out too. I was 9, but Fortress Around Your Heart, which I love by Sting. So I am not a big fan of the Southern Americana rock, which is John Mellencamp and Bruce Springsteen. But there was huge, like Lonely Night. I'm going down. I'm not a fan.
There are people who Springsteen is literally their god, and I'm like, I don't know, he's okay. I kind of look at him as one thing, because whenever I hear like somebody who does a cover of a Springsteen song, and I'm like, well, that song is good. I wish the original person could sing.
Money for Nothing, Dire Straits. We built this city by Starship.
All this stuff is so 80s, because this is literally 85, the heart of the 80s.
Heart Never. Oh, and then we saw later.
Not a lot of hair metal.
Kind of, no, not really yet. Not really yet.
I guess that's a late 80s.
Going down, though, there's a number 49 was Born in East LA by Cheech. It says Cheech and Chong, but it was really just Cheech.
It was 48 the previous, so that would probably be the peak it ever made. With
Yeah, I don't know how high it got onto the charts. Oh, Freedom, Wham! That's on there.
Wham was. This was also when Wham
was
huge. Whitney Houston, obviously, just was fucking.
And then, so this is what I also found, because we've been looking at the newspapers, to look at the movies and stuff, and then we look at Wikipedia for the TV shows. There's a TV guide in this. in this newspaper. So we're going to look at the TV guide of the newspaper of October 25th.
I honestly couldn't tell you if there was such thing as a TV guide in newspapers anymore because I haven't looked at a newspaper in 10 years.
So this is October 25th, 1985, the broadcast schedule. So I'm going to look at the cartoons because I'm a big cartoon nut. They had Tom and Jerry.
What day? Oh, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jetsons, She-Ra, Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, GoBots. Yes, GoBots.
Did you just say yes, GoBots?
I love I had all the GoBots.
I don't even like Transformers.
I had all the GoBots.
And so obviously GoBots is just a shitty ripoff, which was first.
Well, so
GoBots.
My family couldn't afford Transformers, so we bought all the GoBots.
Well, GoBots and Transformers is a Oreos and high. What is that? I can't remember the other candy, the other cookie, which was first, and Oreo off, and then Oreo wins. Okay.
Hydrox.
Hydrix.
I was gonna say hydraulics, but that's not. What
it's basically the same nonsense bullshit.
The 700 Club's still on there. Inspector Gadget, Robotech.
The 700 Club was still on until like 2008.
Okay. So I'm gonna blow your mind. So we're gonna look at the broadcast evening. The movie of the night, Murder by Death.
We run into this movie a lot.
Which was one of the first movies we did on episode 1, on season 1. Murder by Death is showing on TV.
And we had to cheat the drive-in one time because we had already seen that.
Yeah,
so we went to only to see the second movie because we're like, we're already seeing that.
Murder by Death is, Murder by Death. It's an awesome movie.
I'll watch it again, but we don't need to
talk about it.
I'll just watch it at home.
Some of the TV shows we have, Hawaii Five-0 still on. The Twilight Zone, this is the new version of Twilight Zone.
Hawaii Five-0 was still on 85?
Oh, yeah. They were still running
that. Was like a season 12 or something. That was like near the end.
Different Strokes, Benson, Dallas, Falcon Crest, Miami Vice, Knight Rider. I don't know what Misfits of Science is.
You don't know that is a superhero show.
Was it?
That I loved.
I never.
And it stars.
Maybe if I saw it, I would
Cox
look at
is
it.
in it.
Okay.
And she has, I can't remember her superpower. Okay.
That's interesting.
There's one guy who's actually like a big tall dude.
Yeah.
And his power is he can get tiny. And there's some guy with like magnetic powers. I can't remember. It didn't do very well.
Oh, Voltron. Voltron was on 4:30.
Yeah, well, those are afternoon things. These are all reruns.
Mork and Mindy. Yeah, there's a lot of reruns on here. Flipper, The Avengers.
Yeah, those were the biggest things in the mid '80s that were cheap, and they could throw them on Channel 9.
Doctor
Channel
Who.
9 here, and Channel 29. Yeah, Channel 29, 23. I think in the mid '80s because I lived in Wisconsin, I couldn't watch 23.
Oh, I see.
It pointed the beam somewhere in the wrong direction.
Coneheads.
So I couldn't watch it.
They had their own show.
There's a Conehead. There was a Conehead.
7:30 at Channel 29.
That was a sitcom?
Mary Tyler Moore, but that was
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I'd have to look at it.
And there's some movie here with
Rattlers, 1976.
Rattlers!
Maybe we'll travel back in
look
time
at
and go
that.
see
That's
that.
right. Well, it's Channel 29, so Star Trek was on.
Yep. So that was kind of what we were looking at back then. So now let's go back to what was out in the theater before I tell you what we watched. And I went way back here. Hold on.
You've done goofed.
I done goofed.
Austin, edit this part out.
I will edit this part out. Or maybe I won't. Who knows? So, okay, before I tell you what we actually picked, I'm going to tell you what some of the other movies were out.
The Gods Must Be Crazy is right there.
It is. Gods Must Be Crazy. Jagged Edge. So we almost saw Grace Quigley, but it came out Saturday, not...
Oh, yeah.
They had a special showing.
Literally the next day.
Nick Nolte, Katharine Hepburn, and I heard it's really bad. And I've never seen it.
I wonder if Nolte goes for an accent.
Oh, no. Better Off Dead, which I really wanted to do it. It just didn't work out.
It's only the third week at that point. So
it is. Journey
Commando,
of Maddie Gann.
right there.
Oh. I would have watched the fuck out of Commando.
I know. I've seen it so many times.
I have too, but I don't care. I really like it. Agnes of God would have been interesting to see.
God, wait.
Yeah, Jane Fonda and Bancroft Meg Tilly was nominated. I think Anne Bancroft and Meg Tilly were both nominated for it. Godzilla 1985. Remo Williams, which I want to love because I love the source material. Yeah. But, God, that movie just isn't very good. It's not the worst movie.
It has all these stupid review quotes about, it's the greatest thing ever. Oh, my God.
Yeah, hold on. Gene Siskel says it's a spectacular and funny adventure film.
Move over, Mr. Bond. Here comes Remo. It's from the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner.
Yeah.
Those people are blind and stupid. That movie is
Back to the Future. Back to the Future. It says America's #1 movie, 17th Wonderful Week.
God damn it.
It was out forever.
Going by our Star Wars rule, from the season finale.
Yeah.
It's obviously the only movie we're not allowed to see. Okay.
I mean, it's a brilliant movie. It's a masterpiece.
It literally is a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a perfect movie. I think it's really good.
It is.
So, and then at Brookdale
Godzilla
Square,
85.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot about that.
Brookdale Square. It's so weird because a lot of times they would have midnight screenings, but Brookdale Square, which has 8 screens, they had 8 different midnight screenings that night.
Yeah, we picked one of them.
We did Fright Night, Rambo Part 2, Return of the Living Dead, Heavy Metal, Bachelor Party, House of the Living Dead, and Pink Floyd The Wall were the ones we didn't pick. Those are all midnight screenings.
So here's a weird thing that I remembered afterward about Godzilla in 1985.
Yeah.
That has an animated short before it.
Oh, the Bambi meets Godzilla.
Yeah.
Bambi meets Godzilla.
That is literally like
so
a
great.
1-minute short.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's all credits, and then the short happens, and then it's all credits again.
Oh,
it's hilarious gag.
It's
but
really
it was
good.
weirdly attached to Godzilla in 1985 as a short.
It is really
in the
good.
theaters. It's crazy.
So the movies we did pick, so we had to work out. So we actually got to see 7 movies because most of the movies were like the first 4 were like 90 minutes long, and so we could squeeze in 4 movies before 7 o'clock, and then we saw 2 more, and then we saw a midnight screening.
And then there was a fucking midnight screening.
So it was it was 14 hours of movies.
Yeah, it was.
So our first one that we picked is at the Cooper at noon was Martin Scorsese's After Hours, one of his lesser known films.
You had seen this, right?
I've seen it before, yep. Okay. And then we got American Ninja, which I've also seen before.
Yes.
The Canon Pictures and their fascination with ninjas. Because they just went crazy with ninja movies.
It's the 80s.
Back at the time.
You put ninja in a movie, people will go see it.
But like half of the ninja movies were all made by Canon Films.
Yeah. Because that's how they would, if they had kept with the ninja thing, they'd still be in business.
Right? I think so. Stephen King's Silver Bullet, the werewolf movie. Codename Emerald, that was the one that you picked because you were like, what the hell is this movie?
Yeah.
Because you see
it's
the
one
poster.
I had never heard of, and you had never seen it.
I've heard of it because I remember it was always on cable. But I never saw it.
It's mostly the thing that it was 85, and I'm like, there was a movie in 85 that I hadn't heard of?
Yeah.
Apparently there is.
And right on the cover, it's Ed Harris.
Ed Harris,
And then Eric Stoltz is also in the movie.
Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that one.
And then a Kiss of the Spider Woman, which that one I really wanted to see because
you had never seen it.
I've never seen it, and William Hurt won Best Actor for it, so I always wanted to see it. Plenty, you picked that because you were like, whoa, a Meryl Streep movie in 1985. Yeah. Let's watch it. So we did that. We did Plenty. And then the last one we picked, our midnight screening, was actually the only one that's not 1985 movie. It's from 1980 is Motel Hell, which is a pretty highly regarded cult classic at this point. So
it's got Click Clavin in it.
And I've never seen it. You never saw it either.
I had never seen it.
I've never seen it. How are you on horror? Are you a big horror fan?
Here's the thing. When I was younger, I would get scared. Now, not really. I just don't get scared. Here's the thing. I'm more likely to get scared if anything in it seems realistic.
Yeah.
Like if it's more about an actual criminal or even just a serial killer. Silence of the Lambs is more terrifying.
Oh, I think so,
than
too.
Almost any horror film.
Yeah.
If it's got fucking ghosts in it, I'm like, that's not scary. Okay. Oh, watch out. Those scary ghosts. I'm like, not scary.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't necessarily that I'm scared all the time. It's just the reason I never really cared for horror. It's just like, and like watching people get killed and all that stuff. It's just like, why would I want, I mean, when I was younger, I'm like, why do I want to watch that? Like, I never, but then I would watch Van Damme and Seagal movies and people
get their head kicked off in Van Damme movies.
I love that shit. But for some reason, there was just something sinister quality about horror films that I just never got. That people, I didn't understand.
I'm interested for when we get to the horror films on whether or not, when we get there, we'll talk about whether or not you were scared at all. Because I wasn't. I could enjoy them.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like afraid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to the first movie. The first movie is Martin Scorsese's After Hours. Scorsese directed it. Griffin Dunn, who helped produce the movie, has got a pretty big cast of cameos, like tons of people in the movie. Bronson Pinchot's in the very beginning.
Yes.
Rosanna Arquette, Cheech and Chong,
Lots
Linda
of comedy,
Fiorentino,
comedian like
Terry Garr, Catherine O'Hara,
Yeah.
John Hurd. Another movie he was in the package that we reviewed earlier. So He was in there. It's got a lot of people in this. So this movie, it's kind of funny because we reviewed a movie last season called Something Wild, and this kind of has a similar feel to that movie,
somewhat,
because it's kind of a yuppie-ish guy who meets someone, and then it's kind of goes into misadventures and
to
stuff.
Like 12 people in this, and
yeah.
Everybody new he meets is that's a new insane person he's met.
In the mid '80s, this was almost a subgenre of films. There was another movie that came out earlier in '85 called Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum, where he meets Michelle Pfeiffer and he goes on a crazy misadventure kind of thing. Blind date to some extent.
To some extent. That was we don't need to talk about that. That was just a weird episode. Here's the thing. This episode also does stuff. Because, when we watch these movies, there's weird, connections. Plot connections. Yeah. There's a 3-way triangle of plot connections this episode.
Oh, cool. I don't remember. Well, you're going to have to refresh me on this.
Well, when we get there.
Anyway, so
I don't think this one has any of them.
So Griffin Dunne plays Paul Hackett, and he works in this computer job, and he's kind of like a zombie, and he just is not very happy with his life. He goes home. He's lonely. He doesn't do anything. Well, he meets this girl at a diner, and played by Rosanna Arquette, and she's just starts talking to him. And then she's just is like, oh, I got to go to my girlfriend's house because she has some. She makes these bagel
paperweights,
bagel paperweights. Yeah,
paperweights.
And he's just like, would you be interested in one? And he's like, he is not interested.
It's a cream cheese bagel paperweight. Yeah. And then when you finally see one, you're like, oh, look, it's round.
Right. But. So he's just like, you can tell he's not interested, but he's interested in her. So he's like, sure, of course, write the number down.
He's a straight male,
right?
Yes.
And then he calls her up, and she's like, why don't you come over? And he's like, all right, this is it.
Yeah, okay. At that point, I'm like, did she give him a fake number, and this other person's just riding along?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me for a second. Yeah. I'm like, because she legitimately acted like she didn't know who the hell he was.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's gonna get murdered.
And so he ends up going over there. Things get really weird. She meets first of all, she's not there, and then the roommate's there, and then she almost kind of tried to seduces him, and then he seduces her.
The roommate is morally opposed to wearing shirts.
Right. Okay? That's played by Linda Fiorentino,
yes.
Who went on to be in the movie The Last Seduction, which I think got her an Independent Spirit Award into the 90s. And
you know too much award shit, Lachlan, okay? Stop giving a shit about awards.
So then, I'm not going to go over every single little thing, but he ends up getting
Wait.
What?
How long you want this episode to be? You can go over everything. We'll be here for the rest of our fucking lives.
There's so much shit that happens in this movie, but what happens is, so he ends up not really digging her, and then he's just like, so he's like, you know what, it's not working out, maybe I'm going to leave. And then he doesn't forget his keys at this point. No, not at this time.
No, he doesn't. He never forgot his keys. He gave his keys to that guy.
Oh, that's right.
To get his keys. And I mean, sure.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens.
Well, he's trying to get back home, and at the beginning of the night, his $20 bill went out the window. So he has no money.
Yes, and I wasn't really clear. I think I looked away at the wrong time. Like, how does $20? What was he holding it and throwing it out the window?
No. So he put it.
Shooting out
so
the window?
He put it there was a weird ashtray thing. And he set it on there, and the window was just open and went woo, just went right out the window. No, it was legit. It felt like it.
I mean, if you're stupid enough to put 20 in a
But anyways, to make a long story short, he's trying to get home, and that's all he wants to do because he's just having a rough night. He just wants to go home, and bad thing after bad thing keeps happening to him. He meets weird people at different bars, crazy people.
So many crazy people.
Well, at one point, then he goes back to the apartment to see Rosanna Arquette. In case you don't know about season 1, we spoil every single film. This movie goes really dark, and all of a sudden, she's dead. She killed herself.
She killed herself because he yelled at her, I guess,
and walked out on her.
But I'm like, or did she just OD? There's a chance she just.
I don't think she did it because of him. I think she was already having problems, anyways.
Yeah, she might have been disgusting. I can't remember. Yeah. Was there an earlier point where she talked about killing herself? I couldn't remember.
I don't think so. No, but she was talking about her past boyfriend, all that stuff. Who ends up being one of the people that he meets later on, and then Terry Garr is trying to seduce him.
The only normal human being he meets. That guy just a dude with a job, okay?
Right.
He's mostly normal.
And then he goes to an S&M club at one point, and with industrial music and stuff. And the person that's shining the spotlight on him is Martin Scorsese. I don't know if you noticed that, but the
I
person
did
that's
not
shining
notice.
I'm like, there's Scorsese. He's shining the spotlight on him.
You and your eyeballs.
And then there's also a series of crimes going around the Soho neighborhood that he's at.
Break and enters, I guess.
Yeah.
Robberies.
And they think, and it's Cheech and Chong doing it. But it ends up that people think it's him, that Griffin Dunn, the main character, doing it. So then pretty much a lynch mob is going after him almost.
Yeah.
At some point, led by Catherine O'Hara, who's kind of going around leading it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Actually, the only people he meet who are insane are literally every woman he meets. The men are all mostly normal, and the women are complete over-the-top bonkers.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara is the best at it.
She's fun.
Because
Yeah.
when you see Catherine O'Hara in a movie, you're like, oh, she's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
She's going to be a bonkers person in this movie. Oh, look, she is.
When you think of Martin Scorsese, obviously there's Taxi Driver is one of my favorite movies. Goodfellas, Raging Bull. I mean, he is a wonderful, fantastic, excellent filmmaker. And so this is a weird movie on his filmography. I kind of dig it. And I think it's a fun movie.
You're going to like it a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
It's just too weird.
I don't love the movie.
It's
an odd movie, and I think it's worth checking out. I think it's a fun little dark comedy. I don't think every single thing works in the film, but it is really stylish. The scenes with, it has a lot of the Scorsese's flourishes that you see in all his films, like in the beginning of the movie, and it actually ends kind of the same way, when he's sitting at his job and the camera's just whip panning around him, It's like,
yeah.
And then
he tries a lot, and I suspect it's because he's like, I'm going to make it a weird offbeat movie. I can try the really weird camera shit. And sometimes it works, other times it does not fucking work.
I like it when when she throws the keys down and and then you see the keys going down and like, wow. I think that looks really cool.
Most of the time it works, but there are a couple of times like he's on the taxi ride and I'm like, and it uses like sped up.
Oh, it's sped up because the guy's going really fast. Yeah,
just like that doesn't. I can tell it's sped up. It doesn't make me feel like it's real.
Well, I don't think it was supposed to be real. I think it's just supposed to be silly and weird and surreal.
Yeah, I understand. Well, nothing about this movie is real.
No. It's and I really like Terry Garr in the film too. I thought she's really funny. I just love her.
I like Terry Garr.
Yeah.
She's yet another character who turns on a dime and then turns right back and then goes bonkers and then she's normal, then she's bonkers like 5 times in one scene, one monologue. And I'm like, what the hell is happening to these people? Is there like a gas leak?
Yeah.
What the hell?
So I think the movie starts off with all this energy. I think it loses a little bit of energy towards the end of the movie. But I like the way it ends. It ends kind of where he starts off, where he's back at, it's like 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. He's been up all night and he's back at his job and he just goes to work.
See, that was some of the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Because he never actually makes it home. There was like a prophecy or something. Somebody gave him like a fortune telling that he was going to die or something.
Yeah.
And
so
I just assumed he was going to die. And then he literally is like entombed in this paper mache thing. And Cheech and Chong basically steal the paper mache not knowing there's a person inside.
Yeah.
Because they're really stupid apparently. And then he falls out of their truck.
Yeah.
And it all falls away and he just goes into work.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
What I
go
think,
home. Just quit your fucking job and go home.
What I think this was because after Scorsese did a lot of big projects, Taxi Driver, New York, Raging Bull, and then he did King of Comedy right before this. He saw this script and he's like, you know what? I can just have fun and let loose and just...
Yes, he very much...
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it seems like. It's not an important film.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun film. And I think it's way better than something like Something Wild. For me, anyways.
It's better than that.
Yeah. So I like it. I think if you're a diehard Scorsese fan, I think it's definitely worth checking out. It's obviously it's not his best film, nor was I think he trying it to be his best film.
Yeah.
I give it a 3. I think it's a fun movie.
I'm gonna give it like a 1.5.
What? Whoa!
I didn't like it very much.
I was worried you were gonna scream at this one.
No,
so I thought maybe you wouldn't like.
I mostly was just bored because
you didn't think
things happened too crazy.
So Griffin Dunn wasn't as unlikable as like
I just lost interest.
Okay.
After a while, I'm like,
well, it keeps jumping from thing to thing.
I'm like, I mean, here's the thing. Sometimes a thing would happen that I expected to be interesting. Like, they were going to give him force a mohawk, and then they just, like, do a little thing, and I'm like, I want a fucking mohawk!
Yeah.
Mohawk that piece of shit!
I think I probably would have gone all the way and done that.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I would have been, yes, full extra half star for full mohawk. But instead, he gets like one patch, and then you don't even notice it the rest of the movie. And
Not really. Every once in a while, I saw it. And I was like,
periodically.
It's cool.
So I did believe that they actually did that shape thing.
Oh, and this was I don't know if this was his first score. This might have been Howard Shore's first score with Scorsese. Howard Shore did the Lord of the Rings music. He did.
Really?
It's a very electronic score. In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with.
I don't seem to remember anything.
Are you familiar with Tangerine Dream?
Yes.
Yeah. It sounded like a Tangerine Dream score to me. Like, it was a very electronic...
Okay, let me see. I'm going to look at my notes.
Look at your notes.
This was the first movie. Maybe I did write some stuff about music.
I thought the music was cool. It definitely felt the surreal... fit the surreal, different. Dreamlike
that's
tone
right.
Of the film.
I did write down background body bumping. That's always... He was, like, seeing people in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And they was and they were humping, and then one of them got, like, murdered.
That was crazy. So there's a scene in the movie that just... It's kind of has this dark, disturbing things once in a while. That's why it's like a dark comedy where he's just like in like a building and he's like looking at across the way to look into another building. And at one point he sees a couple having sex, and then at another point he sees literally like someone shooting her husband. And I was like, holy shit!
Like, were those the same people that were having sex?
I don't know.
I wasn't sure.
But it was violent. I mean,
it was really numerous things, and then she just throws the gun away.
And those squibs
fuck,
come up.
That dude's super dead. She's just happy about him being dead, and this is a world where the cops don't exist.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, the lynch mobs do.
Yeah, lynch mobs very much exist.
All right, so that's After Hours. I think we're about done with that one.
We are done.
Next movie.
We have 6 other fucking movies.
Next movie.
Let's talk about other movies.
Is American Ninja.
Okay.
Have you seen this before?
I'm pretty sure I probably had, but watching it, I literally recognized nothing. But I'm like, I have to have seen American Ninja at some point.
So, of course, if you know about American Ninja, there are 5 of these. 5 American Ninjas.
They're all starring the same dude as American Ninja.
That is incorrect. I think he's in 4 of them. He's not in the 3rd one. Michael Dudikoff is not in the 3rd one. They got someone else. And then the 4th...
Is he playing the same guy?
Nope, he's a different guy.
A different American
But
Ninja.
David Bradley was the guy who played him in played the guy in American Ninja 3. And then in American Ninja 4, both of them are in it.
Oh,
David Bradley and Michael Dudikoff.
Oh, wow. Does he look confusing at that time?
But you know who's also...
Every time they showed his face, I'm like, why is he so confused?
But you know
it's just the way he is.
But you know who's in American Ninja 3... Even though Michael Dudikoff's not, Steve James is still in it. The black guy.
Oh, really? That guy was awesome.
He's my favorite thing in this movie.
Oh, he's so good.
He's
Here's
awesome.
the thing. The thing that I literally have in my acting. That guy is much more ripped. He looks like he actually could kick her ass, and he can also do a thing called acting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so American Ninja... This isn't going to change the world. It's Canon Pictures.
No.
Sam Furstenberg, and he made a few other ninja movies. He did Revenge of the Ninja, which is a fucking awesome movie.
I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I didn't hate this movie.
No, I didn't hate this movie too. So it's not a good movie.
The action in it is better than I expected it to be because I expected it to be real terrible.
So I don't think it's a good movie, but that's kind of why I like the movie. It kind of has this low-budget, cheesy charm to the film.
There are a lot of people who make movies now that are trying to be this movie.
Yeah,
and some of them succeed, and other ones do not.
It's just kind of fun. So Michael Dudikoff it's funny. So this is the actor. You know, they're trying to make him a big action star. He did not know martial arts. He is not an action star like normally.
Kind of sells it okay.
Yeah, he started off as a model in the 70s.
I feel like he should be better looking.
His other big thing was that he was one of Tom Hanks's crazy friends in Bachelor Party. He played, so he was in there, and then this was his first
starring role.
Well, into action films, and then after that, besides American Ninjas, he was in a movie called Avenging Force, also with Steve James in that movie, and then he was in River of Death, Platoon Leader. They did all with Canon Pictures, so he did all these action movies with Canon Pictures throughout the 80s, and he was a minor celebrity a little bit. Michael Dudikoff.
He is a solid C action star.
Absolutely.
He's not even a B.
Yeah,
okay?
no, I'm with you on that.
He's a solid C to D action star.
But it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the plot of this film, if it really matters, doesn't really. His name is Joe. I love it that his name is just Joe.
they give you the explanation on where that name came
Yeah,
from, which is pretty funny.
You mean when Yoda picks him up?
The guy who trained him, the only American name he knew was Joe.
Yeah.
So he just said, "Your name's Joe now," because he was a kid.
Yeah.
And then he got all this training, and then I have no recollection of how he lost his memory. He got amnesia.
He said it was an explosion or something like that.
Something like that.
But so, anyways, he's at this army base because he went to jail. He had some crime or something. And they're like, well, you either go to jail or do the army or whatever. So he's in the army.
Yeah.
And no one wants him there
because they don't like winning wars.
Right.
Okay.
So, what happens is a bunch of they're having this convoy in the beginning of the movie, and like the general's daughter or something's there with her, and then first it looks like a bunch of like kind of refugees are trying to steal it. All of a sudden, ninjas show up. And not only ninjas wearing black, but they got bright blue and orange and red ninja suits.
Yeah, they are full like they're one of them is Donatello. One group is Donatello. One is Raphael. Okay?
Right.
They got their color coding outfits going.
The whole idea they're supposed to be camouflaged. I'm like, you're going to be able to see all that shit because they're bright colors.
They're that good, Austin. They don't need camouflage.
They're not very
You're
good.
dead before you
They're
ever
actually kind of not good ninjas.
They're amazing. He's just better.
He's just better. So anyways, they try to steal this convoy, this truck, and anyways, they try to kidnap the daughter of the general, who's played by Judy Arnoldson.
No recollection of who the hell she is.
She's in one of the girls in Weird Science that they fall in love with, the kids do.
Well, she's cute as hell, so
yeah.
I guess it makes sense.
Just to digress a little bit, at Crypticon last year, which is a horror con in Minneapolis,
you don't even like horror things.
No,
you go to Crypticon.
Well,
you're weird.
That's because my fiance wanted to go.
Oh, okay.
So, and we were running board games there. Anyways, she was there as a guest, so I was like walking by, and there she was at her booth.
Really?
So, yeah, it was kind of neat.
God damn it, I'd like to meet her.
Yeah, it's cool. She's like, whatever, 50. Well, I guess you're 50.
Yes,
so
I'm
whatever.
54.
There you go.
I would happily meet 50-year-old chicks.
How old is she? She's 58. Yeah, there you go.
Well within my zone.
Anyways, but then it's so weird though with their relationship because, you know, right away when he's like trying to rescue her, she's just like, "What are you doing? Oh, I'm not going in there." Oh, and then it's literally
very confusing.
No, literally after he takes his shirt off, boom, she totally changed her mind.
Yes.
She for the rest of the movie, she was like, "Oh my God, hi, how are you?"
Hey there, guy.
She never treats him like shit for the rest of the movie. It was literally they get into the water to escape, and then like, hold, let's try our clothes. And then she's like peeking over the bushes, and he's like, you know, wringing out clothes, and is like a close up of his biceps. And right away, she's just like,
I'm easily like the fourth most ripped man in this movie, but still, I guess I'm hot. Okay.
So, and then so she brings him back, but the general's still mad at this guy and stuff. But then you find out that he's kind of a bad person too. So
there's a plot of, I can't remember what the fuck it is, but her dad ends up being the main bad guy
with some drug dealers going on.
So
but then they hire ninjas and so Michael Dudikoff, his character Joe, he doesn't have any friends. No one likes him, but he ends up becoming friends with Jackson, which is Steve James, the black guy.
After he kicks Jackson's ass.
Yeah. Well, he's just like, "Who are you, anyways?" And they have this little fight. And he's like, "You know what? You're okay."
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like halfway through the fight, I'm like, "Oh, that's his best friend."
Yes.
I can already tell he's gonna be the best friend by the end of the fight.
And Steve James is so charismatic and so fun. He's such a great actor. Now, I don't know if you know this, but he died like 5 years later. Of pancreatic cancer when he was 42.
Oh, Jesus
so he
Christ,
did not.
He should have been huge.
Yeah, and I think he would have still been working and had a career. And I felt it's too bad that he died way too young.
You are correct. He's all chemistry.
He's awesome.
He can have chemistry with anybody.
Did you ever see the Keenan Ivory Wayans movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Is that them?
No, it's Keenan Ivory Wayans, but he plays...
Okay, he's in that.
He's in it. He plays Kung Fu Joe. And he's awesome in it.
This must have been like his last role or something. It was 5 years
later.
No,
that was 88.
Okay.
But 92... He might have died in 92. So, there's a thing called the internet right here. You can just look it up right now. 1993 at age 41. Yeah.
So he was actually in his young 30s in this.
Yeah.
Which yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I actively was like, that dude is fucking significantly more ripped.
Oh, the
and that guy could. Sure. That guy doesn't lose fights.
Yeah, okay? Right. They uncover the plot and they're trying to figure this out, and even the daughter's like trying to help them out too. And then there's a big showdown, and there's fights and ninjas and bazookas and car chases and
magic
and ninja magic.
And
then there's a plot too with Joe's mentor. Like he just magically happens to be around as like working as like a servant for the bad guy or something.
Yeah, and then he seems to work for the bad guy.
He magically pops up.
Kind of works with the American Ninja. I can't remember his fucking name. Who cares?
Joe.
His name's American Ninja. Okay, American Ninja. First and last name. Okay, they literally call him American Ninja in the movie.
They do.
Okay.
No,
but yes, he ends up like giving him his final training. This will be your last class. I mean, he was literally 1 credit short of his graduation. Is that what you're saying?
Actually, one of my favorite things in the movie is I really liked the head bad ninja. He was pretty fucking cool.
He's awesome.
Like he has this weird like tattoo, like right by his eye or something. His mark.
Yeah, he's got like a scar in his
face.
There's that one.
That
guy is intimidating.
The first scene when they're at the training scene and he takes out all those guys. That scene was awesome. I was like, yes, look at that guy.
Every time like action stuff happened, I'm like, that was so much better than I ever expected it to
be.
But there is downtime in this movie. You're like, shut the fuck up, more ninjas.
Now, one of my favorite. It's bad, but it's fun. Is that car chase when he's chasing that one general's henchman or something, and
I'm trying to remember this thing.
And when they're driving, you could tell that they couldn't afford a green screen, so it's dark.
Oh, it's just pitch black behind them.
Pitch black behind them, and they're shaking the van, or shaking the Jeep.
I do remember that now.
They're actually doing that. But then he bumps into him, and literally the general screams, goes, "Ah!" And he turns and he hits a tree, and boom, he explodes.
Well, there's a thing before that,
was
in
so
there
funny.
where a different car hits a tree, and then all the water falls. That shot was fucking amazing. And I'm like, holy shit. Other people who make movies that are action movies and there was rain, you gotta understand. Take that. Because obviously they didn't. That was real rain that had happened earlier that day or something.
Right.
And when all that water came off that tree because they hit a tree, and I'm like, shit, they should do that in more movies because that was a really cool shot.
So this movie did not make a lot of money. However, it only cost $1 million and it made $10 million, so they made $9 million.
That's $9 million more than you have,
and that's why they made the second American Ninja right after that, and they did a third one, fourth one.
They were basically they're video gold.
I've only seen the
box office, but obviously in video form, these things went crazy.
So when I was a kid, I was like 9 or 10. When I would go to sleepovers, my friends would be like, "Hey, I rented American Ninja. Let's watch it." So we would watch.
Like, yes,
we watched American Ninja. We watched all those Ninja movies.
Did you watch all 5 American Ninjas?
So I've only seen the first 2. So I've never seen 3. Maybe we should go back in time and watch all the American Ninjas. Let's go. I would watch 2.
I'll watch them. I'm assuming they're going to be as nonsensical fun as this was, because I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, no, I'd give it a cheesy, fun B movie 3. It's that's what I'm going to give.
If there's a special B movie rating, then yes. But a real movie rating,
2.5,
2 to 2.5. Okay,
I agree with that. I can see that too. But for how much enjoyment I got out of the film, it's a 3.
Yes,
it's not a good movie. It's not like a super well made film.
But somehow it's also But it's fun. You're going to enjoy a good 45% of this. You're gonna be like, I love that part. The other 55%, just shut up. Give me more fucking ninjas, okay? There are periods of time where they're just, like, dialoguing, and there's, like, military shit going on. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Well, when Steve James is talking, I love it, so.
Yeah, but he doesn't actually show up till, like, halfway through the fucking movie.
Yeah. So good. So our next movie is Silver Bullet, Stephen King Silver Bullet. So I saw this back in whatever.
I'm guaranteeing I had seen this just because I remembered nothing in it. But I also remember that I had seen it.
So I saw this, but I saw this on like Channel 9 when I was 11. So I saw it. It was edited. So I never saw the whole thing completely.
Okay, there's some some gore in this.
And I remembered when I watched this movie, I remembered probably like 20% of it. I was just like, I don't remember a lot of this movie.
I remember nothing.
So this was kind of like watching it for the first time, but there's one specific part of the film I remember, and I'll go into it.
I think I probably know what it is. It's the most iconic and coolest scene in this fucking movie.
It might not be, but I don't know.
Really? Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
We'll get there.
Silver Bullet. Okay, so this is based off of Stephen King. It's directed by, the credited director is Dan Attias. But what I didn't find out until after we got back, I looked up all the non-werewolf scenes were I'm sorry, horror fans, Don Coscarelli.
That's a lot of the movie. There's not the werewolves.
Don Coscarelli, he directed Phantasm, Beastmaster, Phantasm 2. He's the Phantasm.
Then why is he the guy directing the non-werewolf parts of the movie then?
So I'll tell you this. A little behind the scenes before we get into the plot, apparently.
The plot is werewolf, okay?
They did a test of the werewolf suit, and they did not like it. So Don Coscarelli was like, okay, I'm going to film all the stuff without the werewolf first, and then we'll film the rest of it. But by the time they got the werewolf ready to go, he was still not happy with it, and he walked. Then
they actively made it so you couldn't see the werewolf that well.
Right.
Okay.
So then another guy, and this is his only credit, Dan Attias, they came up, and then he directed the rest of the movie.
This is his only credit.
He might have done some TV stuff. His only theatrical credit, yeah.
Because for a movie where the actual werewolf probably doesn't look that good, and they had to actually make it so you couldn't see him that well, they did an okay job.
No, I think it's effective, yeah. But that's really interesting because Don Coscarelli is because he did Bubba Hotep as well, if you've ever seen Bubba Hotep.
I have
yeah,
seen
so, the Phantasm movie. So I didn't realize that he was, because as I was watching the movie, I'm like, who's this Dan Attias guy? Because the way the frame is in this film, like, he's setting up the shots pretty fucking well.
He does.
Anyways, okay. Silver Bullet, it takes place in 76, but it looks like 1985. It does not look like 1976.
There's no difference between 76 and 85, Austin. Zero.
Not according to this film. Well, the main protagonist is actually Corey Haim is in the movie, and he plays whatever his name is. I don't know.
Wheelchair boy.
Wheelchair boy. He's in a wheelchair. His name is Marty. Marty Coleslaw? That was his last name?
I saw that. It's in my notes.
I don't remember.
Literally on their mailbox it says the Coleslaws. And I'm like,
don't remember.
Holy shit, their fucking name is Coleslaw.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Spelled like coleslaw.
Well, anyways.
Except for not. There's no E.
So it's about him. It takes place in a small town. There is a werewolf going around killing people like night by night, and they're just taking out people in the small town. And then they also show like Corey Haim and his he has got a relationship with his crazy Uncle Red, played by Gary Busey, and then also his sisters in there is too. And they so they talk about they show a lot of their relationship and brother and sister stuff. They mainly get along pretty well. It's just
as brother and sister. One of them's like 5 years older than the other one, or
she's pretty much a teenager, and he's like but then they have his kid or his his friend is kind of a jerk. The kid's Corey Haim's friend.
He's going around. Well, he doesn't last long.
They killed the kid. Was like, holy shit.
This movie kills a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, we're going to watch another horror movie later. I'm going to tell you right now, they don't kill any fucking kids in that movie. Because there aren't any kids in that movie. Oh, there are. There's two girls.
There are.
But they just leave.
So, anyways, Silver Bullet. And then, it's kind of a mystery a little bit. Going like, well,
it's Werewolf, the board game. The game.
You're
like the first
half. Well, who is it? You don't know who it is. Is it?
I knew who it was.
Yeah. Is it the bartender? Is it the Reverend? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? You're trying to find out who it is.
It might be the guy who's actively telling you not to go try to kill the werewolf. Well, whatever you guys do, I don't believe you should kill people.
Or it's maybe the actor who looks the most evil because he has a crazy looking face.
But he also literally, before they do the reveal, he has like a dream, which is amazing.
Oh yeah.
But also basically tells you.
So it ends up. One really cool part in the movie was when Gary Busey builds his nephew a motorcycle, pretty much called the Silver Bullet.
That's his wheelchair. Whole thing. He has his one wheelchair, which says Silver Bullet, and then he gets another one called Silver Bullet. And I'm like, there may be fucking actual silver bullets in this fucking movie, or else there is.
there is. And but of course, Corey Haim finds out about this. It's a werewolf killing people, and he's trying to figure out who did it. And he actually gets actual proof that there is a werewolf because he sees the werewolf and then he shoots it in its eye with a bottle rocket.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, go around and try to find people that don't have any eye. That has
and the
one
most
eye.
baffling thing in this fucking movie is his best friend was murdered by a monster.
Yeah.
At night. And numerous people got killed at night. Wheelchair Boy decides,
I'm going to go
out in the middle of fucking night all by myself. And
that was the one thing that I was like,
a monster tries to kill me. And I'm like, duh! It's the middle of the night in Murder Town, you
That was
moron!
probably the only part where I was just like, really? I don't think I would have done that. But
what do you mean?
Whatever.
That was the only part?
Well, so
his
the
uncle
part of
makes
the
him
most.
a fucking motorcycle,
That was pretty awesome.
Harley Davidson, and then his parents just say, fine, okay?
They were like a little like,
They were a little bit. Instead, what they should have done was like, you're never speaking to your uncle again. He's obviously a fucking moron.
Actually, Gary Busey's like, don't go that fast around your parents.
Just take a look at it.
It's a
It
motorcycle.
looks like a fucking spaceship. It's so fucking fast.
So there's a big confrontation at the end because they lure the werewolf to their house or whatever, and Gary Busey's still skeptical about it, but he helps him out anyways because he loves him. This movie knows exactly what type of movie it is, and I think it's an effective film. I think it's fun.
It's fun.
It's a fun movie.
The scene I was talking about.
Yeah.
He has a dream, the Reverend.
Yeah, it's
where
great.
he's
It's
like.
great.
It's like Sunday, and he's giving his sermon.
Yes.
And then in the mid-sermon, the entire congregation turns into fucking werewolves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit,
that was
this
a really
scene is
cool
amazing. And I'm sitting there, I hope this isn't a dream. I want everybody a fucking werewolf. If the rest of this movie became, this is literally a town full of werewolves, that would be amazing.
Well,
it was a dream.
then when
there's one fucking werewolf.
and it's the Reverend's dream, and you're like, oh, I wonder who the werewolf is now.
I kind of was pretty sure it was him already.
Right. So, as a kid, I didn't figure that out. I didn't know who the werewolf is.
You were a toddler.
So I was kind of watching. I think I missed the beginning of the movie. I came in probably 20 minutes in. I'm watching the movie.
Remember when you saw this?
Yeah.
I don't have memories before I was 25 years old.
So
Austin.
I'll remember this because I don't really like horror films, and even as a kid, I hated them because I got scared really easily.
Okay.
But my brother's like, "Oh, let's watch this," and he was a little younger than me, but he didn't mind horror films. So I must have been 11. He was 10. We were home alone. So we were, my mom was out wherever in a meeting
in
or
previous
roller skating or
episodes,
something.
we have learned your parents suck at parenting. Okay,
Yeah, bring me to Tarzan
They bring
the
you
Ape Man.
to fucking rated R movies when you're 8 years old.
So we're watching the movie, right? And they have the scene with the bottle rocket goes into the eye.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, now they're looking around, and I'm terrified, kind of at the edge of my seat. Every time they open the door, because she's going around trying to do like a food drive or a can drive, and I'm like, the person's coming. Okay, no eye. Okay, I'm good. And then she goes to the Reverend's house, and I relax. And
Because
then
you fucking religious doofus
and,
just assume the
and I
Reverend was
relaxed,
impossible.
and they do this great pan where
They
the camera
actively are making it so you can't see half of his face.
So they have this pan where it's panning the girl. You see the girl kind of walking with the thing. She's like, "Hey, Reverend, I got the cans." Like, okay, put them back in the shed. And the camera pans, and he's in the front ground, like in the in the right, and boom, he's got an eye patch on. I screamed louder than ever. I was like, ah! Scared the shit out of my brother, and I had to turn off the TV.
Now I remember why you. Now I know why you remember, because for some stupid moronic child reason, because I will admit that whole sequence was awesome.
Yeah, it
where
was
she
cool.
was terrified.
Yeah.
But she was like, I have to find out who the werewolf is.
Yeah.
So she's like, she took the towel off that one dude's head.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
right, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
that guy is gonna horrible things to you. He's a creepy middle-aged man. Okay. But then she goes to the priest, and I'm like, I already knew it was him because they basically had informed us.
Yeah.
Because the dream had already happened, right?
Yeah, the dream already happened at that point.
Children are stupid.
Yeah, I didn't know, but I scared. Then I didn't watch a horror film for like another 3 or 4 years after that.
Wow.
I didn't like horror films.
See, the fact
scared
that
the shit
this
out of me.
movie
This was the one that did
has
it.
got the memory thing because I remember when I was like 10.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, when did Christine come out?
83?
I was
You were like 15.
I turned
14 or
15. I was
15?
14 or 15. I went to go see that, but I was in small town Wisconsin.
Oh, right.
I had to walk home afterward, and there are cars everywhere, and I'm like,
man.
I'm fucking terrified. So yes, that I do remember. I remember stuff like that.
So, but yeah, this movie's fun. What's great about it, I think Gary Busey's awesome in this movie.
This is before he ever...
Well, he was still pretty crazy at this point.
He was crazy, but it was before he was medically crazy because he hit his head.
Yeah.
Okay?
Now...
Also, didn't he play Buddy Holly like a year earlier?
No, there was like...
When was that?
It was 78, so that was a while
ago.
ago.
That was that much earlier. Okay.
Yeah, he did DC Cab before this. Now... Yeah.
Okay.
Gary Busey in this movie,
40, and I'm like,
it's so funny because I'm listening to his dialogue, and there's a line in the movie that he goes, that he's just like, man, I'm as happy as a virgin on prom night. And then I'm like, wait a minute, Point Break's one of my favorite movies. I'm going like, in Point Break?
They stole that in Point Break.
In Point Break?
Point Break stole that
Gary Busey says, they are gone like a virgin on prom night.
Oh my
He's just making up dialogue in his movies because I looked at the behind the scenes.
Oh. Of this movie you did?
He ad-libbed most of his dialogue in this film.
I believe it. Having watched it, I very much believe it.
But what's kind of interesting about it, though, is that they said that they did multiple takes. Some he did the scripted dialogue, and some he did ad-libs. The director and Stephen King, who wrote the screenplay, they liked his ad-libbing more, so they kept it into the movie. Cool. And it fits, and I think he's fun, because he plays this alcoholic uncle. And
it says, Busey is great as a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean,
that's exactly what he was.
But he's a likable piece of shit.
He is.
You know, and he's fun. Corey Haim is actually pretty good as far as 80s kid acting is. Like, he's good.
Well, that's
you
right.
Like
I like
Corey Haim? He's awesome.
Corey Haim was fine in this.
Yeah. Everett McGill plays
here's the thing. He's barely recognizable.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look like the Corey Haim from 3 years later.
Right.
Okay? Although he is really pretty good at acting like his legs don't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, fuck. Because
I did a good job.
He climbs up a tree at one point, and they only show him in the tree, and I'm like, is this like a flashback to how he hurt himself? No, he climbed up there without his legs, and I'm like, he's a lot stronger than I am.
No, he's pretty good. Everett McGill plays the Reverend. He's good in the movie.
He's
creepy as shit, and it's
good.
Like the scene when he could after it's revealed that he's the werewolf, pretty much, and he's confronting Corey Haim's sister in that shed. Holy shit. That's scary shit.
That is scary.
That's a really good scene.
Yes, that scene is amazing. Now, okay, apparently in this version of werewolves, a werewolf has full memory of everything they've done when they were a werewolf.
Yes.
Which is fine. Okay, it's just a different
I don't give
movie.
a shit. Yeah.
It's a different movie. It is hilarious in this that they talk about how werewolf stuff is all bullshit.
Yeah.
Except for Silver Bullet's part, and I'm like, pretty sure you can just shoot him, okay? It's just a person who turns into a dog, okay?
I mentioned it a little briefly, but I think the direction's really good in the film. It's shot in 2:35 aspect ratio, so it's widescreen.
Yeah.
So seeing it in the theater on a big screen, it's really good looking. I like all of the werewolf kill scenes. They're really well done.
They're
good. The scene when that girl's on her bed.
The first one, the werewolf swipes some dude and his head goes shooting right off.
Again.
And I'm like, oh my god, this movie starts out awesome.
And that was James Gammon again. He was in The Greatest, but James Gammon was he's the coach in Major League. He's got that voice like that as James Gammon. But
he didn't last long in this movie.
The second kill was that one girl, that one lady.
Yeah,
on the bed. That was really effective.
There was this thing where she was pregnant. The guy who knocked her up is like, no, I want nothing to do with this. And she was like contemplating killing herself.
Yeah,
and then later on, the priest is like, I stopped her from killing herself.
Yeah,
she didn't go to hell. And I'm like, how do you even know?
Right.
Okay? Well, you weren't there listening. You were a fucking dog person who jumped in through the window and murdered her. Okay?
I thought the kill was really cool too with when the werewolf comes up through the stairs and then like guy falls and he gets impaled on the piece of wood.
Oh yeah!
Like, holy shit!
This movie is a lot better than I expected.
Me
it to
too.
Be.
I didn't expect it to be as good as
It was fun.
It was fun,
and I do agree.
Yeah.
If you are, because this is like literally going to be the heart of a PG-13. If you're fucking 13 and you watch this,
it was R.
It was R.
It was R.
But now I think it'd be a PG-13.
Maybe
because the gore in it doesn't look particularly gory.
Yeah.
I mean,
the practical effects are really good in it.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're 13 and you watch this, like
Yeah.
you were not 13 because your
was
parents were
11.
terrible. But
Well, they didn't know I was watching.
well, I
it,
also
but-
11. 11 is close enough.
Yeah, it was edited. It was on TV too. So I was like,
This was the TV version they were watching.
yeah, it was.
Okay.
But it wasn't the gore that got me. It was seeing the Reverend and
the
his
fact
iPad.
that
Yeah.
you found out who the
Yeah,
the
and I was like,
person
ah, yeah.
Austin, that's why I love you so much. Okay, because that I get to.
Anyways,
use that. I get to use that.
I know we're staying on this movie a little too long, but I give it a 3 stars.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fun. I liked it.
I liked it as a 3.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's better than I remembered.
Me
I
too.
remembered it does have only one silver bullet,
Yeah.
and the kid Corey Haim just shoots the monster, and the monster stays dead. And I'm like, that's the end of the movie, I guess.
It is at the end of the movie. No, I think it was good. Yeah, I was really surprised by how much fun I was having watching the film. So.
Yes, I think they some of the transformation stuff in this, obviously, because this is after
It's not as good as
American Werewolf.
It's not as good as American Werewolf.
But it
that
is-
movie's awesome.
But if American Werewolf hadn't existed
Yeah.
and this came
Yeah.
out, this would be almost as well known.
Probably.
'Cause some of that
Yeah,
shit was
yeah.
fucking amazing.
I think so. Yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty well done. So,
Let's go on to talk about a significantly worse movie.
Codename Emerald. Well, it's such a weird unknown film. Yeah. So, Codename Emerald, action drama film. It says directed by Jonathan Sanger, who is not really a known filmmaker. It's got a pretty crazy cast. It's got Ed Harris, Max von Sydow. It's got Eric Stoltz.
There's a lot of people who I know can act.
Yeah.
But also they're in this movie for some reason, and somehow don't do the acting part.
Really? I the acting's
Well,
fine. You know who I really liked in the movie was this guy, Horace.
What's his face?
Bushels.
Max is great.
I liked this guy.
I thought Max was the best acting.
Max von
in this.
Sydow?
Yeah, because he's just amazing and knows
Right.
everything he does.
So this is pretty standard. I think the idea was to make an old-fashioned type World War II movie,
Yes.
kind of like The Great Escape, and
Except for
stuff like that.
Those movies will have
Are good?
a modicum of tension.
Yeah.
Okay. In this,
No, there's no tension.
He's literally a double agent.
Yeah.
And you're not, and already you're in it. You're like, he's not gonna end up being actually a Nazi who is the double agent. He's an allied guy who's a double agent.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
not a triple agent, and you know that immediately.
Yep.
And I'm like, just if I had any fear that he might be a triple agent, this movie would be such a better movie.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head because tension is what this film lacked for sure.
Yeah.
So handsomely looks the art direction and everything looks great. It looks like Nazi occupied France or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they got the swastikas all
Looks
around.
fine.
It
Yeah.
looks really the locations are great. What it is so there's an it's called Operation Overlord is what this is, and the Overlord is
That's just D-Day.
yeah.
Over in this, which is a thing I had never heard of. Overlords are people
Yes.
who know when D-Day and where D is going to happen.
Yep.
I'm like, I actively looked it up on the internet afterward, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can find no other place in the world where the code name of Overlord is for people who know what a D-Day is.
It was just this
Okay?
movie.
It's just this fucking movie. I
So
guess.
Eric Stoltz, who's pretty young in this film, and he was a
But
lieutenant.
he
He's a
was supposed to
lieutenant.
be. He was supposed to be in Back to the Future, and then he was in this pile of shit.
Yeah. So that is there's your connection right there. Yeah.
Well, the other connection is there's another World War II movie.
Yeah.
And there's another prison movie. See?
Oh,
This has the
yeah.
triangle.
There we go.
This movie is the crux of the triangle.
So Eric Stoltz plays Wheeler, Lieutenant Wheeler, and he's the overlord that knows when D-Day is going to happen, and he's in custody.
well, apparently Ed Harris also knows all this stuff.
Yes. So Ed Harris, and then his superior officer, played by Patrick Stewart.
Yes, with a mustache.
Yes, and he sends him on this mission. Is like but then Max von Sydow is part of the German army. Helmut Berger, and then another actor named I can't pronounce his name. Is it Horst Buchholz or Horst Buchholz?
Nope, couldn't tell you.
I actually really liked him in the movie. He was in another
Which
movie.
one was he?
It's,
Was he the fake good guy, bad guy? Because at one point, one of the other Nazis he doesn't know is also supposed to be a double agent, but he doesn't know who it is.
so it's him,
At
but
one
he's like
point-
20 years older.
At one point, they try to make you think it's one person who it isn't. It ends up
Yeah.
being Max. Okay?
Right. So, yeah, I think that's the guy they were trying to
Yeah.
fool you in, and I thought he was really good in the movie, actually. It was actually my favorite performance. But Ed Harris, I mean, he's fine in the movie.
Here's the thing
Yeah.
that's baffling to me: how not engaging Eric Stoltz is in this movie at all.
No.
God damn, is he just like boring in this? I'm like,
Yeah.
I know you're good at acting. Why are you so shitty in this movie?
So, what happens is Ed Harris he goes into prison with him because Well, the Nazis put him in there because the Nazis thinks that Ed Harris is a Nazi.
Yes.
But they're like, you know what? Pretend that you're American and go into this prison cell and
Yes.
try to get the information from
Which
him.
I'm like, is his character actually American? The first thing you see him doing is he's playing cricket.
Yes.
And I'm like, is he a British guy who can do a really good American accent? I don't know what his character is at all.
Yeah. They don't really go into it. For
No,
sure.
they do not.
And so then the whole Ed Harris thing, it's like, but then he's trying to tell Eric Stoltz, like, we're actually going to get you out of here. And, and then so there's this big escape plan. What it should be is this kind of momentum leading up to this great big escape. And it just like, okay, let's walk out the gate and drive off, and here's your plane, and that's the end of the movie. They escaped.
They escaped in really, like, they were trying to make it so suspenseful, and I'm like, this is the least suspenseful thing I've ever
And
fucking
so
seen.
and then the thing that I also have a problem with too in the movie is that they shoehorn this romance in with Ed Harris, and
Well, it's out of nowhere.
out of nowhere.
She's like a contact that he
Yeah.
has, and then
Should
they're
we sleep
just,
together?
Like, gonna
I guess
start
we are.
banging.
Yeah.
There's another movie later on where a similar thing happens. It's baffling to me.
I mean, over and over and over again in that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, this movie. So I don't know. I don't think, and I'm probably not rating as low as you. I don't think it's an awful movie, but it's really generic and it's kind of boring. The movie's just kind of there. I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, it looks. It's presented nice. I like the production design. The premise is interesting. I like some of the performances. Ed Harris in particular, I didn't really find him engaging. And what I think the big problem was, and this was a problem with a lot of movies, especially in the 80s when they did World War II movies, American movies doing World War II, is that they wouldn't have them speaking the German language.
Yes,
they should have had subtitles.
Have a German accent when they're talking like that.
Well, everyone else,
these guys were super obviously just Americans playing Germans, and I'm like, at least do a fucking accent.
Well,
okay?
the main three German guys, Max von Sydow, Horst, and Helmut Berger, they had German accents, and then Ed Harris is talking in his American accent. I'm like, do they suspect anything? Or what's going on?
He actively says he is American,
Oh, right.
but he identifies as German,
right.
and he doesn't think of Americans as anything.
Yes, that's right.
There's like some point where they even ask him something about Americans, and he goes like, I don't know, they're just fucking Americans. Okay, is what he's trying to point it up. Is he doesn't give a shit.
I was pretty underwhelmed watching the film.
It is.
It's
very underwhelming.
I'm giving it a 2. It's just kind of
a 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
I actually, boy, it might be a 1 because I'm honestly sitting here trying to come up with
hate it.
anything about it that I found not boring, any type of engagement. I'm looking at my notes. Is Ed American in this? Couldn't tell you. Okay. Although Patrick Stewart's mustache is awesome, I can't move it up a star for a fucking mustache.
half a star.
Okay.
That's good.
Yes, and here, oh no, they added romance. Meaningless bullshit romance.
Yeah.
God damn, I don't understand the romance in this movie. I'm going 1 star. Okay.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Austin.
Yeah.
Have you ever owned a copy of this movie?
No.
Have I ever owned a copy of this movie?
No.
That's proof that we travel in time because you are not going to find this movie anywhere.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
This movie's unfucking findable
So-
in 2023.
I did find out there is a DVD that came out in 2010 by I don't know if it was Warner Archives or something, but they have released a DVD version of it, so you can order it on Amazon.
Yeah, there's no Blu-ray.
No, there's no Blu-ray.
Nobody
No.
cares about this movie,
No.
including Ed Harris
Right.
and Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
And Max von.
And Eric Stoltz.
Also,
and everybody.
oh yeah, none of them.
Nobody
Eric
cares
Stoltz
about
is like, they kicked me off Back to the Future. I'm stuck with this. I'm gonna sit in a prison and I have to sort of act, I guess.
Speaking of prison, our next
Speaking of
movie,
prison.
Kiss of the Spider Woman. So this was
You had
directed.
never seen this.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
Directed by Hector Babenco. I want to say that they have made this into a musical, a Broadway musical, actually.
Weird. Okay.
Right? Like out of all the
Really
movies,
weird.
Why?
Broadway musical? Are they sitting in prison cells just singing? And does he sing about a movie he saw one time? A problematic, weird movie that he saw one time?
just to clarify, I want to see if it is. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
bad at typing.
Kiss of the Spider Woman musical. I want to say that, or it's a Broadway play or
Could
something.
be off Broadway or something.
Yeah,
That is-
they
oh
did.
my
They made a
God.
musical, and
I mean, granted, because almost all of it takes
it
place
was in 1990 that
in
they
a
did
prison
it, yeah.
cell, it's a very turn into a play situation.
But they turned it into a musical.
It was based on a novel.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Anyways, back to the movie Kiss of the Spider-Woman.
Well, I'm sorry, what year was the musical?
90.
Okay.
90 was the
that
first
makes
one.
more sense.
So that was 5 years after
Because there are
this, yeah.
huge aspects of the movie that do not fucking hold up in 2023.
Oh, no. Of course not. So, and it was based on a novel, too, from 76.
Yeah.
Stars William Hurt, who won Best Actor for his role in the film. He plays a gay man, some might say trans man,
I
or
think
whatever.
this movie is confused about the differences between gay, trans, and pedophile. Okay?
Oh, yeah. So his name is Luis Molina. Raul Julia Valentin, and he's a political prisoner. So it takes place, is it in some Latin American country?
They never really
say. No.
It could be African for all I know.
Yeah. Well, now, see, I'm looking at the Wikipedia. It says Brazil. So
okay.
There you go.
Brazil, I'll take your word for it. Okay.
So William Hurt and Raul Julia, they are cellmates. And it opens with William Hurt going over talking about a movie that he saw, and he's like acting it out, and he's kind of trying to put on a costume and doing voices and stuff.
I had found out before I watched this that William Hurt won awards for this.
Yeah, Best Actor.
And literally 15 minutes in, and I'm like, why did he win any awards for this movie?
Oh, you didn't like that?
God damn, he's so terrible.
I don't think he's terrible in the
he's
film.
Really,
no.
It's like I'm gonna act like this person who I've never met, but I think this is what gay people act like, and I'm like, you should probably talk to a gay person.
So I liked most of his performance. There was one scene when he gets poisoned where he's like, and I was like, ooh.
Well, here's the thing: Raul Julia is 100 times better than he is.
He should have been nominated for this.
Oh,
movie.
he's a million times better in this fucking movie.
He's really good in the film. I really like Raul Julia in it. So actually, the premise of the film could be pretty quick. Because what it is
well, it's the movie we just watched.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so they're cellmates, and Raul Julia's this political prisoner, and to try to cheer him up or just to pass the time, William Hurt is constantly talking about a movie that he once saw, and then which Valentina's like, it's a Nazi propaganda film.
Oh yeah, that was a great scene. Where he's like, because in his description, the movie they show us is very obviously not the movie he saw, because nobody would like the movie that we're seeing. Okay, it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
But he's like talking about how he doesn't care about the politics, and that's what the romance. And I'm like, talk to a gay person, you fucking weirdo. Okay.
But then you find out later on that the warden they're trying to get information from Valentine, and William Hurt, they're using William Hurt to try to get it out of him. That's kind of like the twist that happens halfway through the movie. Like, oh shit, he's like a contact. Yes. But William Hurt actually is starting to fall in love with Raul Julia, and interesting, Raul Julia kind of has feelings for him too.
I mean, part of that is he's like literally the only person he's talked to for months.
Yes, so so they end
up a guy who obviously will blow him. Yes, so he's like, sure, let's go.
But then there's like these flashback scenes of like showing the movie, and also showing Raul Julia's past romance too. They show some of that.
Yes, played by the same woman.
Yeah, Sonia Braga
as his dream woman, basically.
So back in the 80s, they were in like 3 or 4 movies together. Sonia. So I always thought they were married in real life, but they weren't. Sonia Braga. Really? Yeah, they were also in Moon Over Parador together, and in The Rookie, the Clint Eastwood movie. They're both the villains in the film. Sonia Braga and Raul Julia are the villains.
What's The Rookie?
It's Charlie Sheen and Clint Eastwood in a buddy movie. Guess we're going to have to go back to 1990 and watch that movie. All right.
Oh, why did I even say anything?
Anyways, so this movie kind of feels like a play, obviously, because it's just, most of it takes place in the prison. And it really focuses on the relationship and the characters. For most of the film, I kind of like the relationship, and I really like Raul Julia in the film. The problematic part that you're talking about is William Hurt is in prison because he's a pedophile.
Yes. He's also, as much as they're saying gay, he's obviously is trans.
Yes.
He actively, if I wasn't such a coward, I'd cut it off.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yes, it does appear the people who made this or wrote the original novel just think gay and pedophile are the same thing. And I'm like, those are not the same thing. Okay? Pedophiles
and trans
are almost
too.
always straight. Okay?
Right.
They're just monsters. Okay? Gay people aren't monsters.
No. not at all.
I mean, there are monsters who are gay,
Yeah,
obviously.
Because monsters are everybody.
Because human beings are terrible.
Yeah. But, I really like Raul Julia in this. William Hurt, I like a lot of his performance, but there's a couple scenes when, like the scene when he gets poisoned, and I'm like, ugh, like, he's not doing a very good job. My biggest problem with the film, because I actually didn't hate the movie, and I liked a lot of it, but I can't quite fully recommend it because you already mentioned it. The movie within the movie, that should have been super stylish and super awesome.
Yeah.
Like every time it went to it, it should have been amazing. But instead, it was just like it's not good. It's boring. And it's not.
It's not even like I don't understand what you find interesting in this movie.
Yeah,
Mr. Hurt.
And I feel like
this movie is terrible.
And I feel like that was kind of the core, the heart of the film. Is this whole movie within a movie. And, okay, yeah, sure, they shot it in a little shade of, like, tint or black and white or sepia tone or whatever.
There's a second movie, the actual Spider-Woman movie, that is barely in the movie, and I feel like that must be, maybe it's more in the novel or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because they named the fucking movie after this meaningless scene, okay? But that one's in black and white.
Right. And the end stuff, with William Hurt and some of the intrigue stuff was kind of interesting, I thought.
Well, when it gets revealed, because I was like, literally the problem is we had just watched Codename Emerald.
Right.
So I'm immediately seeing this and I'm like, I wonder if one of these people is actually like a fake.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that would be weird if that happened.
Yeah, just like...
Oh, look, it happened. Shit, what do you know? But I actually found it more interesting, some of the conversation that Hurt's character had with the prison guards.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't like what they tried to do in Emerald, where he was put in there specific for this. He was his actual cellmate.
Yeah.
They were just trying to say, we'll let you out early if you just fucking interrogate him or tell us stuff that you find out. And stuff like that. So that was more interesting.
Yeah.
The poisoning thing, because it was very obvious when he had a stomach thing, and then
because they were trying to poison thing.
But it reveals it later. He actively made me take the bigger portion. There was nothing I could do about it, and I didn't eat it in front of him. He would get super suspicious.
Yeah.
So, of course, he feels like maybe he should be suspicious on the next day when he's the one with the stomach ache, immediately after eating food, but whatever, okay?
I really wanted to love this movie. I think there are some good stuff in the film. Especially, it's worth seeing. I think for Raul Julia, I think he's really good in the film. And there's not enough performances around of him because he died too young as well. He died.
He died in
his
the
early
90s,
50s. Yeah,
right after playing M. Bison. His greatest film role.
I fucking love Street Fighter. but yeah, so it was really cool to see him in this. So that was where I got most of my enjoyment from. But yeah, I wish the movie within the movie worked a little better for me. So I'm at a 2.5 on it. So.
Here's the weird thing about this movie. There are, after the big reveal happens, I'm like, boy, I bet you there were cool tells in the first half of this movie, but I have no fucking interest in watching this movie again. This movie is going to be, it's just going to annoy me in completely different ways. Because I can see stuff in the past. I'm like, well, that was a tell. And I guess that makes sense. But I don't want to watch that again. So fuck this movie, okay? But what'd you give it, 1.5?
2.5. I give it 2.5. Because I enjoyed most of it, actually.
Because I'm sitting here and there were things about the Hurt character that really annoyed me.
Yeah.
At the end, he basically tries to help this people that Raul Julia has told him about. And he gets him killed. Okay? And he dies. And then Raul Julia dies, but he seems to have an afterlife? Okay? You know what I mean? And I'm like, what's going on in this fucking movie?
The Spider-Woman rescues him.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm like, so yeah.
I was trying to be surreal.
Here's the thing. In 85, I'm pretty sure that I would have been on the side of this movie.
I think so, too. I think so, too.
This movie was amazing. It's just that it's 2023, and that his portrayal is so fucking terrible.
Yeah, because I think that's what it was.
2 stars for me.
Okay,
I'm going to have to go 2.
That makes sense
because it's almost like there's a good idea here.
Because with William Hurt at this point, like he was kind of being celebrated, but he was playing more masculine types. And then when he did this, people were like, "Holy shit, look what he can do!" And I get it. That's probably why he got the recognition that he did.
Well, okay, but here's the weird thing. Really weird thing. After seeing this movie, after seeing Codename Emerald, right after seeing Codename Emerald like this, what if Codename Emerald had started where he was betraying the Stotz character, and then after the reveal happens there, you find out, no, he's actually working with Stotz, but he couldn't tell him until they go on this weird walk.
Absolutely, you know what?
Holy shit, would that
you know
movie
what?
possibly be
wow,
amazing.
You know what? Okay, we're going to make a movie right now. So, yeah, Codename Emerald, if it started with them in prison, and you see Eric Stoltz and you're like, and then when you find out, like, holy shit, he's a Nazi. And then, oh, holy shit, he's actually not a Nazi.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
It'll mostly be because the tension of, like, which one of these two truths?
Yeah.
He's telling both the Nazis and the prisoner what they want to hear. What does that mean to reality? But that movie could be freaking amazing.
I think so, too. And I think because...
But both these movies dropped the ball on that. The moment you find out in this, you know 100%.
Yeah.
No, granted, he doesn't want to betray, but he also doesn't want to be in prison anymore.
No, he wants to get out of there.
Although that prison looks shitty, their cell is as big as my fucking house.
Well,
their cell is so huge.
There's some good news there. We fixed Codename Emerald.
We did. We fixed it. An actual remake of Codename Emerald? Holy shit.
That
movie would be a good movie.
That would be fun. Okay. Our next movie, Meryl Streep. You picked this. You wanted to see a Meryl Streep movie.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. Here comes Plenty. Here we go. Plenty is the name of the film.
Sorry, it's so bad.
Fred Schapisi. Fred Schapisi directed it. He directed. It's funny. You know what he directed right after this? He did Roxanne.
The
Steve Martin movie.
I loved Roxanne.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an Australian. I won't like it now after seeing this movie.
He's an Australian director.
Because this was based on a play, and I think most of the problems with this are because the original play sucks. Okay.
So this is a World War II, takes place in World War II, well, a little bit. This movie spans 20 years, and it focuses on Meryl Streep's character who plays Susan.
There's so many things in the movie that are not clear about how time moves, and nobody looks older.
I am going to get there. I might have a screaming moment. Yes! So, as close as I can get,
awesome.
Maybe, anyways. You're excited.
I'll be whisper quiet. Whisper quiet.
So, in this movie, I'm just going to do a very brief overview of this. So, Meryl Streep plays Susan, who works for, she's a British courier during, almost like for the underground or whatever. She meets a guy, Sam Neill. She bangs him, and then
I'm shrugging,
and then
I'm literally doing the big shrug meme. You see,
and then you see a dead guy, and it's like, oh, there's Meryl Streep's husband. I'm like, wait a minute, and then Charles Dance comes in, who's the bad guy in Golden Child, comes in and is like, hey, let's get married. And they get married. And then you meet Tracy Ullman, who's actually pretty good in the movie, actually, Tracy Ullman.
Weirdly, because I kind of didn't think Tracy Ullman was very
good.
No,
I like Tracy Ullman.
But mostly it's because it's just like every other character. A trillion things happen, you don't know why, and you don't give a shit.
And then Tracy Ullman is there, and then she witnesses a fight with her and her husband, and then boom, and then Sting shows up, and then Meryl Streep banks Sting. She goes into a mental hospital. And she's married to Charles Dance again. Got it.
So here's the thing. She didn't marry Charles Dance the first time.
They were just together.
We visit on the weekends.
Yep.
Okay?
And then they're married.
And by Dance, it's what's-his-face Lannister from the Game of Thrones. Okay? Yep. the old Lannister guy.
Okay. and then...
Played him a bit.
Right. And then...
Because you're talking about some other movies.
And then
everybody knows Game of Thrones.
Charles Dance is in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He's... What's his face's?
I don't know.
He's Dinklage's dad.
And then Ian McKellen shows up, and then
I'm like,
and then she gets her husband fired from a job, and then Sam Neill shows up again, and then they bang, and then then there's a flashback of when the war ends and it's over. Okay, so if you're wondering. Wow, that sounds like a really confusing movie. I need to see it. You know what? That was way much more clear than the movie. The actual movie.
I was watching, and then suddenly stuff happens, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck's happening in this movie. Why is anything in this movie exist?
Before I go on a tangent, I will say, Meryl Streep is good.
Well, yeah, because Meryl Streep can't do bad.
No.
Matter of fact, pretty much everybody in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I think
so.
But
I'm like... How can people be good at saying stuff that seems so fucking random?
Well, you know what? Well, I bet you what it is that they probably understood their character and stuff, and then when they edited it all together, it didn't make any sense. They're like, holy shit. But yeah, Meryl Streep gives a really good performance in this film.
She does an English accent.
Yeah.
And hers sounds more legit than the actual English people in this fucking movie.
Oh, absolutely. She is really good in the film. And there's some scenes where her mental health is going, and she's acting kind of, crazy or whatever.
Yes.
And she's really good at that.
But there's no lead up to any of this shit. I don't understand.
Right. As far as the story and for getting involved in anything, it's borderline incoherent.
Oh, it was bad.
I was so upset at this film because one thing that I have a big problem with, this is why I don't like biopics.
Louder.
One thing I don't like about biopics is that you got to be careful when you span a series of time.
Yes.
Because then you're going to lose...
The greatest.
You're going to lose me. Yeah, you're going to lose me if you do this. This movie, oh my God. All of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, is it 2 years later? Is it 5 years later? It's like, so I looked in Wikipedia after we got back, and it literally goes, 2 years later, 1945.
Like,
wait,
that's
now
not in the fucking movie.
Then it skips forward to 1953, where she's working for the Queen. What? She was working for the
here's
Queen?
The thing. How does Wikipedia know that? Because the movie doesn't fucking tell you.
Oh, and then in a jump forward to November 1996.
How do they know the month for fucking crying out loud?
And then sometime in 1962, and then in 1965, and I'm like, the movie, as far as the movie's concerned, it all takes place in the same fucking day.
It does.
It doesn't
I don't understand. Nobody looks a day older.
No.
It's literally,
It's so
if you take a look
bad.
at the timeline, there's a 20-plus year span, and nobody looks a fucking day older.
This movie frustrated me so much. I was so pissed watching this film because I'm like, why does it keep jumping? Every time it jumped to a different thing, I'm like, I don't fucking care.
She like shoots at Sting, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. The next scene, she's like in an insane asylum, and what's his face shows up. Scene after that,
They're married.
And by that, I mean 30 seconds after the shooting. Now she's married to this other guy, and I'm like, is this later the same week? Is it 25 years later? I don't understand anything.
While we were sitting in the theater, I literally looked back because I'm like, did they skip a fucking reel? Because it totally felt like that they skipped.
Well, here's the thing. I really wish they skipped a reel because it wouldn't have felt like eternity.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie, and it goes on forever. It seems, and. So I will say this. So I said Meryl Streep was good. It's shot in 2.35. The cinematography looks great. The art direction is good. I think
it's very much based on a play.
Right. I think the camera
all the meaningful stuff literally just happens in individual rooms, and they're talking for what feels like a half hour.
I still think it looks good. I think looks good. So and it's funny because I'm saying I'm screaming. I'm pissed at it. You're gonna be like, what? You give it that high? It's a 1.5 for me because I didn't like it at all. But I really liked Meryl Streep a lot, and I like the look of the film.
This is one of the biggest differences between you and me, Austin.
0 stars.
Here's the thing. No, I'm actually not going to give it 0 stars. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars.
1.5?
0 star. No, half star.
Half star. Okay.
1/2 of a star.
Wow.
Because I reserve 0 stars movies that pissed me off. This movie just made me want to die. Okay? I was like, I made the horrible mistake.
Actually, this did piss me off.
what time we started watching the movie.
Yeah.
And then I looked at my phone and I'm like, oh my God, it's only been 35 minutes. We're going to be here the rest of my fucking life. How can so much nothing
have 2 hours isn't a long time, really, for a movie.
Sometimes it
is. No, but I mean, when I see a movie that's 2 hours, I'm like, oh shit, it's 2 hours. I don't.
No, I don't.
It's a normal movie.
Some of my favorite movies are movies. The best ones are like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
you're like,
absolutely.
Well, I wish the movie was longer. The movie's over. It makes me sad.
I wish this movie was 2 minutes long.
God, I wish this movie didn't exist.
It was
because here's the thing.
I was really pissed about this film.
She's so good in it.
Very good.
And a lot of the other people are so fucking good in it. My
Charles
problem
Dance
with Tracy Ullman is...
Oh, Sam Neill. I forgot Sam Neill's in here.
Sam Neill, I guess. They get back to banging at the end, and I'm like... They literally only explain it by, I want to explain to you how I found you. And I'm like...
I saw you on the news.
This is the only thing in the entire fucking movie they're trying to explain anything to us, okay? Because they explain nothing in this fucking movie.
Yeah. It's funny, if you read the Wikipedia description, it really explains, like, oh, that's what happened? Because I didn't get that much in the movie.
If you are interested at all in the stuff we said, just read the synopsis on Wikipedia. It will take you 10 minutes... And it won't feel like a week has passed.
And then it might actually be like, wow, that actually sounds pretty good. Well, they don't do it well in the movie.
weirdly, maybe it's a thing where if I had read that synopsis and watched it, I'm like, okay, I understand what's happening in this scene. I wouldn't have understood if I didn't read that. I made the mistake of not reading that.
Right.
And I had no fucking idea what the fuck was happening in this movie.
I'm so glad you're on the same page with me. I was just holy shit.
Okay.
You were worried that I was going to like it?
I was here's the thing, but it didn't look good enough. Okay? That would be our biggest difference. You will like it if it looks amazing.
It looks good, and
but I also was like afraid. I'm like, boy, all the acting's really good. Maybe I'll still get really sucked in by that acting. Because this movie is fucking boring and stupid.
It's funny. So, as I watched the movie, like the first scene when they show her with the gun, I'm like, oh, Meryl Streep looks awesome with a gun. Look at her.
Oh, yeah. And in that opening, and then it just sort of jumps through time. Where suddenly she's married to some dead guy. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
That was the first misstep.
At one point, I'm like, wait, maybe it's like a identical cousins situation, and they're gonna meet. Because boy, would that be potentially amazing.
So, but no. So the first time they did the time jump, I'm like, oh, I'm confused, but maybe they'll explain it. And then it jumped again. I'm like, and then by the fourth time they did it, I was like, fuck you. I'm like,
never gonna explain anything.
I was so fucking.
And then she goes bonkers, and I'm like, was there like anything telling us that she was gonna go bonkers, or is she just like a crazy person? And I don't understand.
Bad news. All right, midnight time. Here we go. Motel Hell.
I would like to say thank you.
What, for this movie?
This fucking movie. Holy shit.
So it's funny. So
this movie doesn't explain anything either, but I don't give a shit.
When we were going to pick a midnight movie here, I really wanted to pick Heavy Metal because I've never seen it. But the reason why I picked Motel Hell was because I'm not a big horror fan, but I'm like, you know what? I know we need to put some horror films out.
Did you know anything about this movie going in? Had you seen the poster? I hadn't even seen the poster.
I have not seen that poster. So
okay, good, because that poster, irritatingly, would have told me something that fucking surprised the shit out of me. Maybe about this movie 100 times more.
So
that's why I don't watch trailers.
Motel Hell,
because the trailer would have fucking made me not like this movie.
Made in 1980, directed by Kevin Connor, who was a British horror director. He did The House That Dripped Blood, I think, or no, that's not what he did. From Beyond the Grave, that's what he did.
Okay,
and he did Land That Time Forgot, At the Earth's Core. Like he did all these.
Wow,
like,
he did
B
a lot
films.
of crazy B movies back in the day.
Yeah. So this was a normal movie for him to make this film. The Jaffe brothers wrote it, and then they liked Kevin Connor, and they asked him to do the movie.
Well, it's because they're fucking geniuses. Okay?
Motel Hell, it's a crazy cult movie comedy. The movie knows exactly what it is.
I'm waiting for your synopsis, buddy. That's what I'm waiting on. It's going to be amazing.
So Vincent Smith, played by Rory Calhoun. Now, Rory Calhoun,
Silver Whip, Simpsons fame.
He was in the Silver Whip.
Well, oh my God, he was. But also, there's the Simpsons awesome reference from Mr. Burns.
Oh, okay.
Where whatever. It was one of the Greyhound dogs, and he says something. He's like that guy who was always wearing a shirt. Rory Calhoun, yeah, that's him. It's just
he was in the Silver Whip, which we reviewed last year.
This is like he's 25 years or 20 years after that.
Yeah.
He looks a lot older.
Yeah, he's
unlike the previous movie, in real life, people can age over 20 years.
But you know what's funny, though? He was only 58 in this movie. He looked like he was 75.
If they faked him up as older, they did a really good job.
I think it was just 1980.
Maybe he was 6.
Is what I think it was. So, he plays Vincent Smith, and he's known for his famous smoked meats. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I wonder what it's made out of.
Well, in this horror movie, weird,
yeah. So, but he runs a hotel with his sister. I thought
they were husband and wife.
I thought they were too. Me too. And yeah, I know. I thought so too. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I guess. Okay.
Well,
he's his sister finally.
Here's where the thing. After the weird wedding starts happening, he references her as his sister. But I'm like, that could have been a lie because that wedding wasn't going to fucking happen.
So that's interesting. So, anyways, he plays. They play like they run this hotel. It kind of starts off right away where you see he's out. I don't know what he's doing in the woods. Maybe hunting,
quote unquote hunting humans.
And this like bike like motorcycle or whatever flips over or gets caught on something, and you don't quite see what it is.
Later on,
you find out there's bear traps.
But actually, they showed like a gunshot wound in the front tire, and I'm like, there's no fucking gunshot. I love you, movie.
And So, but then, so the guy dies, and then, or not dies, but they take the guy.
He's not dead. You assume he's dead.
Yeah.
Boy,
and then
they assume he's dead.
And then you get the girl, and he's like, kind of like, hey, let's, you're okay over here. We're not calling the cops.
Is she that much prettier than the other girls or something? Because I'm like,
why did
at the big reveal that happens like 20 minutes in, you're like, why did he not do this to her?
Yeah.
Because she's pretty, I guess.
Yeah. So what you find out in a few minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, he goes to this garden and you see a bunch of like bags.
Yeah.
And
like
all of a sudden you see one of the bags start moving.
Yeah, it's like
you're
wiggling.
Like, oh shit. And I'm like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, those are heads.
I assume, but also I'm like, I assume they're heads, but only one of them's moving. Are the rest of them dead and stuff like that?
And so they lift open the head, and
they've got their
throats cut, and the vocal cords are cut out, and they're planted into the ground, and they're literally making these noises through the whole movie.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's so fucking weird. You're like, what? What's happening?
It's so weird, but god damn it. I mean, we had just watched a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
And so watching, this movie's light years better than that movie. But, and the movie knows obviously what it is, and there's definitely some jet black humor in the film. And then they introduce his brother. Is his brother's the cop or whatever?
Yes. I guess I didn't catch that they were brothers.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later through references.
And... But then
she's like the sheriff or something like that.
Well, he gets the hots for the girl that's over there.
Boy, they go on a real creepy date.
And he pretty much tries to rape her.
Very much. But
then she's okay with it.
She's okay, but she also seems to be okay with a lot of weird shit.
And then she's like, you know what? I actually like your older brother, who should be my great grandfather.
Yeah. She starts hitting on him.
She's all ready to start.
She wants to bang him.
It kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, it very much. A lot of this movie comes out of nowhere. And so here's the thing: we literally just picked on all the stuff this movie does in the last movie. Who cares? This movie is fucking phenomenal.
It's
because she starts hitting on old man Rory Calhoun. Okay,
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, we have to be married," and so we all know, even though it isn't said at that point.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get married tomorrow? Yes, they're getting married the next fucking day because she wants to bang him hard, and apparently he's at least willing to bang her. But no, he's not, because that wedding was never going to fucking happen.
I think he's the virgin.
There's a good chance. He might have banged some corpses at some point. Okay?
Oh my god! So, but a lot of the scares and stuff come from just, they're collecting these bodies. Like they get this band at one point with John Ratzenberger in there, and they plant them in there, and they're using them because they end up chopping them up for.
I don't know what the ground does with that tenderized.
I don't know what I have no idea what it does either.
It looks amazing.
It's just what it is. There's no reason. And then there's a scene where they do this hypnotizing thing with them.
Oh god, that's right.
I thought that scene went on for a few minutes too long. It went on way long. It was
really weird, but it was also literally part of the murdering of people.
Yes,
they do that, and then they put stuff around them, and then they break their necks, and then they just pull them out of the ground by their necks.
Well, then the cop brother figures out this is going on, so then he decides to all of a sudden turn.
Mostly he's mad because.
Rory Calhoun's marrying
the fucking hottie he wants to bang. Okay, I don't think it has anything to do with him thinking there's murdering going on.
So, well, anyways, he tries to rescue her and take her out, and then all of a sudden she's okay with him now. Like, I just remember I turned to you and I'm just like, do you remember half an hour ago when he tried to rape her? Remember that?
I did, and unlike other movies, here's the thing.
I'm actually surprised that you're not pissed about that.
Here's the thing. He doesn't end up with the girl, does he? Sort of. Kind of, maybe, but also I'm pretty sure she... Here's the thing. Also earlier this day, I saw a movie where all women will just turn on a dime, so she left him, okay? I can go with that, okay? Whatever. She changed her mind. Literally a half an hour later.
I will think so. One of my favorite parts, I guess, in the film was at the very end, there's a big chainsaw fight.
Oh, God, it's a chainsaw
And
duel.
Rory Calhoun's got... Pretty much his stunt double is wearing a pink or a pig head.
A pig head.
And you just hear Rory Calhoun going, ha, 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 the whole time.
But one of the other most amazing things is they break out of the ground. One of them finally breaks out of this obviously breakoutable ground
kind
situation.
Of zombie style.
Yeah. But then they're also beat up from having been on the ground for like 2 weeks. They're stumbling along and they can't talk, so they're like going, grr, grr, grr. I'm like, oh my god. this is the greatest shot I've ever fucking seen. They look so fucking miserable and sad. And then also, her biker boyfriend gets murdered.
Yeah.
He attacks Rory Calhoun, and Rory Calhoun just straight up beats him in a fight. Now, granted, Rory Calhoun hasn't been in the ground for 2 weeks, so I guess that part might be part of it. And has a chainsaw.
So I'm assuming you love this movie.
Oh, but here's the thing. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, Rory Calhoun's character is dying.
Yeah.
And he starts repenting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And his repenting goes on, and I'm like, what the fuck's happening? But no, he wasn't repenting murdering people. He says he's been lying. Oh, I used preservatives, and I laughed for the next day. That was the greatest thing that he didn't convert. He confessed to using preservatives
into his
because
in his
he
meat.
actively says he doesn't use preservatives or any other chemicals.
Yeah. And then he uses preservatives and
oh
he died.
my God. I was so happy. That movie shot up to like a good 3.5 stars on that scene alone.
So
it was a fine flick. I was enjoying it. It's a 3.5 star for me.
I think
because that ending is a thing in my brain for the rest of my fucking life.
I think the direction by Kevin Connor is like, for a movie like this, you'd expect a B movie to have like sloppy editing and stuff like that. It's actually made quite well.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. It's a $3 million budget, which you'd think this would have been a lower budget film, but $3 million is pretty fucking high. That's a higher budget than American Ninja.
That is by 3 times higher, it made about the same amount of money.
But as more of a cult classic.
Both those movies are cult classics.
Yeah.
This is a different kind in the horror fetishy people movie community. This movie has got to be high up.
So
there
it's one of those movies.
It's so bonkers.
I think I need to see it again because I think I might like it more. I don't like it as much as you.
Nobody likes anything as much as I love the ending of this fucking movie.
It was just I thought. So it's an hour and 41 minutes. I feel like this would have been a better 80-minute movie for me.
Yes, I don't disagree with that.
I think
there are downtime where I'm like, we don't need this.
Well, I thought when they're doing like the hypnosis or whatever, that went on for like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, really? I mean, we can go on to the next part.
You should have just said, remember the last movie? Never mind. This movie's fucking joyful.
Right. Okay? Well, then I go back to see, because I really like Silver Bullet, so it's just... I mean, it's weird, because
this movie's a weird movie, the 2 movies
though.
On this day that I like the most are the 2 shitty horror movies. And number 3 is American fucking Ninja.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Because the movies that are supposed to be good are the movies I fucking hated.
So I'm actually, a lot of horror fans are like, what? I'm like, I give it 2.5. It's okay.
Oh, it's a 3.
It's 3.5 for you.
It's hard to give stuff a 4.
I will say, I really like Rory Calhoun's performance.
He is good.
You know what his performance reminded me of? He wasn't acting like he was in a horror film. He was acting like he was in a live-action Disney family film.
Well, yes.
The way his line delivery was.
He was actively good at being fully believable as he believes himself to be, not just a fully the good guy in this movie.
Yeah, and like
I'm doing this to cull the population. I mean, I also make up a bunch of money by chopping the meat up and grinding it and mixing it with some pork and then selling off his meat. Okay?
I will say, Nancy Parsons plays his sister, and she's pretty fun in the movie too.
She's good. I've seen her and stuff.
You know what she's in? She's Porky's. She's the one that grabs.
Oh my God!
She's the gym teacher.
That's exactly who it is.
That's who she grabs the dick because remember the guy puts the dick in the hole and she grabs it.
Of course, I was once again the target audience for Porky's. Okay,
so
that's a teenage boy.
That's Nancy Parsons. She was in that movie. Yeah,
okay.
She's in that.
I knew I saw her somewhere, and that is definitely in my head.
Even though I give it a 2.5, I feel like that the more I watch this, I think I could get into it a little more because it is. I appreciate it for being so weird. Again, horror's not my genre. I thought some of it went too long. Oh, Wolfman Jack's in there.
Wolfman Jack is in it, yes.
And he plays the Reverend. I did laugh at one part where he's just like, when he's like, "Oh, that Penthouse magazine, I'm gonna give that to me," and I will.
Because the sheriff brother guy just happens. Oh, it's a hustler.
Yeah.
It was a Hustler
It was
magazine.
Hustler.
I'll take that, so I'll dispose of it for you. Yeah, sure you will.
And then the next scene,
Reverend Wolfman Jack.
the very next scene, Nancy Parsons is reading that same fucking magazine. That was pretty funny. See, the more I talk about it, it seems like I should be giving it higher.
This movie's awesome.
I mean,
dude.
it's funny because while I was watching it, I'm like, it's okay. But the more I talk about it, I'm liking it more. So I feel like that I might like it if I watch it again. So I will admit that.
The really weird part about this full episode is, because we've had other ones where we had movies that were, this is a good movie from the past. And I'm like, I love that movie. Movie like Moscow on Hudson.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It was really good.
This one, there are a solid half of these movies that are supposed to be basically critically acclaimed Oscar-based
Kiss of the Spider. This movie's better than that. Yeah.
Kiss of Spider-Woman.
After Hours.
You might like After Hours.
I do like After Hours.
I don't. I like all the shitty B movies more than I like it. And neither one of us liked Emerald because it's garbage.
Emerald and Plenty.
Plenty was those are shitty.
So Plenty was the worst
stinkers.
one for me.
Yeah, that actually. Here's the thing. As far as actual quality of movie, Plenty might be the worst movie we've seen. I've given other movies lower ones because of me.
I mean, of the whole podcast.
Of the whole podcast.
Tunnel Vision.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Tunnel Vision is...
Nope, that's the worst one.
I take it back. Tunnel Vision is the worst thing I've ever fucking watched.
Tunnel Vision is the worst one.
I forgot. Tunnel Vision
so far that we've watched.
It's so bad. I forgot about Tunnel
Vision.
And don't bring up Tunnel Vision, Austin.
Right.
It's terrible.
And I don't like
a lot of that from my memory.
All right, so those are the 7 movies. So, okay, looking back, so your favorite movies got probably Motel Hell of the films.
Yes.
Mine's Silver Bullet. I liked Silver Bullet. I didn't expect it to be Silver Bullet. I've seen After Hours a few times, and I'm like, that's probably going to be my favorite of the week. And I still liked it. I didn't like it as much as I used to. I used to like After Hours more. I still like After Hours. American Ninja, if you get drunk with your friends and watch a fun action movie, it's silly fun.
It's perfect for that kind of thing.
Yeah. But Silver Bullet is
your favorite one. That's because of your personal history with it. That's a big deal.
Well,
and a lot of these things.
But I didn't expect it to actually like the movie when I watched it again. And I was just like, this is actually pretty good. I like Gary Busey. The filmmaking's actually pretty fucking good in the movie, and it's effective horror film. I wasn't scared at any of them films this time, so I know you were asking me that earlier.
Well, but I think it's because you're an adult. But as you showed, like if I watch Christine now, I might enjoy it, but I'm not going to go like, oh no, when I drive home, I'm terrified. No, I won't give a shit. Okay, but when I was a teenager, scared the fucking shit out of me because I had a 20-minute walk to get home, and it was all on dark roads.
Okay, so best performance for an actor. I'm going to give it to Rory Calhoun in Motel Hell.
I was looking because I was like, who am I going to give this to?
Well, I really like Gary Busey too, but I mean, Rory Calhoun is pretty awesome in it though.
Boy, oh boy, I might give it to Raul Julia, actually.
I'd give it to supporting. That'd be supporting for me. So
he's a co-lead in that movie. What are you talking about?
But the Academy would have given him
the second name because he's like the first. He might be the first person you see.
Yeah, I think so.
Other than, I guess, because it opens with the weird, shitty movie. Okay?
Roger, I bet you the Academy would have nominated him supporting actor if they did nominate him.
Really?
Because they're stupid.
They are. Because it's weird. I don't like that movie, but he's really good in it.
I think he's
but
really
then again,
good in the movie.
Everybody's great in Plenty, but I don't want to talk about Plenty. It's garbage.
So best actress, I would give it to Meryl Streep. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's only because she's the only actual actress in any of these fucking movies. Okay? I mean, I guess there's a female lead, sort of, in Codename Emerald, but not really.
Motel Hell. You give it to Nancy Parsons as the sister. There you go. She's in there.
She's good. Maybe. God, I don't want to give it to Meryl Streep, but it's fucking Meryl Streep.
No, and Meryl Streep's great.
She's so fucking perfect in everything she does. Even a movie that is literally going to give me horrible nightmares. If there are horror movies, there's only one of these movies that I'm actually going to be sad about later. Okay? It's like, oh God, I don't want to be lying in bed thinking about Plenty. That's terrible.
I was really surprised that I like Silver Bullet as much. Like halfway through the movie when they have the car chase between the Silver Bullet and the Reverend in the car chase. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Oh, God. I'm like, this is fun.
It's fun. It's just fun.
But yeah, Motel Hell was your big movie that you got.
Motel Hell, mostly because I was enjoying it, and then at the end, Oh God, that is just a thing I'm going to be talking about. The preservatives like thing at the end.
And I will admit this,
so great.
And seeing it only once, it's a 2.5 for me. I feel like that it could get better for me if I watch it more. So I will admit. But
here's the thing: I guarantee if I were, I guess tied down and made to watch Kiss of the Spider-Woman, I might like it more. But I'm never watching it again. Okay?
Yeah, and I didn't. And it was almost good for me, but. I don't know. Anyway, so those were the movies, 1985, October 25th. Now, next episode, we're going to actually go back to the date that Marty
5th.
McFly goes to, November 5th, 1955. Yeah. We're going to go back in time to that, because my brother's a genius.
Your brother is so much smarter than you are.
I don't know why we didn't even think of that for the first episode.
You came up with the idea for this podcast. Whatever.
Well, when I found the time machine, I mean, the idea just came naturally.
That's not smart.
So.
Finding a time machine doesn't make you smart.
No, but it was like right away.
Go back in time and give yourself like fancy vitamins.
Ooh.
When you were a child, but that would break the time continuum. And
yes.
you don't allow that.
I will not do that. No.
Just got to give yourself super soldier serum. Okay.
So that's it for this week, and that was a lot of fun. And again, thank you for listening to the podcast. And now that I know like the website, everything is live. If you want to get a hold of us and want to tell us how awesome we are or how shitty we are, filmgeektimemachine@gmail.com is our email.
It's an email.
We do have an email. So
wow, I'm going to spam this shit out of that thing.
So filmgeektimemachine@gmail.com is contact us there. You can go to our website, which I don't remember the address because it's the stupid Wix thing, but
oh yeah, it goes on for weeks.
It goes on forever.
So I'm assuming if you look up that on Google's or Bing now,
right?
Bing's a thing now.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know.
Because of their AI thing.
Oh,
that has turned them into being Bing that people don't hate.
But yeah, so our podcast on RSS feed. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, you know how to find the podcast. So why am I telling you?
Correct.
But we're also on Instagram. So
probably at this point still a thing one of us told you about.
Follow us on we're on Instagram too. I have started a TikTok. Maybe by the time this airs I've put TikToks up, but I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm not sure, but anyways, we are on Instagram, so follow us on there too. Anyways, until next week when we go to November 5th, 1955, I'm Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
And we'll see you next time.
Kind of.
Oh, God damn it! All right, see you later. Bye-bye.